This is Right Out MMA, and today we're going to be going over the 6 counters that you need to know as a beginner. Alright, so we're going over the basic 6 counters that you should know as a beginner. We're going to be going off of all boxing strikes here for the jab, the cross, the lead hook, the rear hook, the lead body hook, and the rear body hook. And some super easy stuff and concepts that you can apply to all of your counters going forward. To start, Yazzy's going to be throwing her jab at me, and when she's throwing her jab, I'm going to be meeting it with a parry. So I'm catching it in my palm on the same side. So her left hand is meeting my right hand right in front of my face, and I'm bringing some stopping power behind it, but I'm not smacking at that strike. For all of these counters going forward, you need to have the defenses right first before you can get into the actual counter. If you can't defend yourself, you're not going to be able to hit them back. That's kind of the golden rule for countering. So when Yazzy throws her jab at me, pose on it, I'm going to be catching, giving it a light parry just to redirect it lower, and then flowing over top with my own straight. So you catch and shoot, okay? Catch, shoot. It feels a little bit awkward when you first do it because it's hard to get over top of those punches, right? But if she's really committing on that jab and you can redirect that power down, it's pretty easy actually to flow over top, and this is one of my more high percentage counters. Same thing, but opposite. When Yazzy's throwing her cross at me, I'm going to catch it again with my punch on the same side. So my left hand's going to open up to catch her cross. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to do this parry. There's usually more power coming from her rear hand. But regardless, if you have the opportunity and you can redirect that power, then this may be an opportunity for you. So you catch that punch, boom, and now right over top of it, I'm going to step into my jab. So in slow but with flow, all right, she hits, 1, 2. 1, 2, right? I'm catching that punch and then firing right over top of it each time. Really, the concept for all of these counters are you're going to be taking advantage of the space that they're opening up when they throw their strike. That's sort of just the entire concept of countering, right? But this is very specific to she throws her left, I'm going to try to counter her on her left side. She throws her right, I'm going to be trying to counter her on her right side. And at the very least, you can block and throw something back. Cool? Yazzy's going to be hitting me with her lead hook. Just as that lead hook's coming in, I'm going to be bracing against it, right? Staying strong inside of that strike. So I don't want to let that strike redirect my energy and push me the other direction. I want to be strong against it, framed, tight, and right out of that block, I'm going to try to fire a straight. So I've made my hook block, boom, braced against it, right, strong in place, elbows in, hands connected to the side of my head, my shoulders strong, and right from that block, bang, I fire out my own straight. Again, taking advantage of all that space they just opened up with their lead hook. Now, if she hits me as hard as she can with that left hook, this may not be an opportunity. All right, if she's giving every ounce of her power into that punch and I expect myself to just brace against it like this, it's not likely going to work. Instead, it's probably going to turn my shoulders the other direction, and it might be good for me to even move with that strike. But in this context, maybe she's just touching with that left hook, trying to set something up. And just when she touches, right, I go 1, 2, right, and I fire right out of it. Just like that. Again, context is that they're not hitting you with their full power on this strike. But if she's throwing a right hook, or maybe even an overhand, and I'm able to brace against it. This one I would say is the least likely out of all of these, but maybe she's southpaw, it could be in that context. But anyways, she hits me with that right hook against the side of my head, boom, I brace against it, and I want to be able to fire out with my strike. So that punch comes in, boom, right, I'm braced against it, fire out with my strike right in between her big opening on that punch. All right, again, if she's southpaw, this makes a little bit more sense. Again, her lead hook comes in, boom, whoosh, all right, and I touch and fire. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. And I like taking a little step with my jab too, instead of throwing it stagnantly right in front of myself. When I move in to bring the power behind that strike. Yazzy's hitting me with a lead hook to the body or a left hook to my body. I'm going to be meeting it with my elbow just above my hip. How much do you really need to drop your hand to actually block the side of your body? Not much. All you need to do is a subtle crunch into your core so you stay over top of your legs. And as a beginner, this is extremely important to learn, because if you start blocking and letting your hips sort of fly out to the side as you try to do this defense, you're going to lose it really, really quick. Instead, right, you have to do it over top of your legs, crunching into my core and bringing my elbow just on top of my hip bone. So you can see how much my hand actually drops, right, to block the side of my body. It's really not much at all. So when that left hook hits the side of my body, boom, all right, I should be loaded for an uppercut. And I would say this counter is the most common out of everything that we just went over today. So, all right, she makes that block bang and firing out with my uppercut. Just inside of that, hold it there please, of that opening that she just gave me right in here. Boom. All right, a little angle. And it needs to be able to shoot. All right, so super, super easy. You block against the side of your body. As soon as you feel that touch, shoot that hand out. Where a lot of beginners screw this up is they'll block, they'll drop their hand, and then they'll try to throw it up. Way too slow. All right, you need to be able to throw it right from this position, right up into their chin. It doesn't take much to get underneath somebody's chin. As soon as you start dropping and trying to swing, right, good fighters will be able to maybe even feint. All right, she goes to feint to the side of the body there, right, and comes up with a left hook to the head or left uppercut, either one. All right, so you really have to avoid dropping that hand and overreacting on these blocks.
Something too, when your hand comes down, I like to think about shooting that counter straight from your hip. I'm taking it to my hip bone and then I'm using my hip to shove it in, rather than, again, like Connor was saying, from behind your back. Doesn't make that much sense. I'm already protecting, now I'm just using my hip to shoot it straight up.
All right, last one, she throws that right hook to the side of the body. All right, so just as that punch is coming in, exact same concept, I'm gonna brace against it, and if I can, I'm gonna load to that side. And what is a load in the context of throwing our punches? It's one shoulder and hip behind the other. So right now, in my regular fighter stance, my left shoulder and left hip are in front of my right. Soon as I bring, all right, my right shoulder and my right hip in front of my left, now my left side is loaded and I've brought in all the power to that side. That's what makes it your power side. All right, power side, now it's my power side, okay? So I've made that block, boom, simultaneously while loading up my punch, and as I turn back into my lead uppercut. So in slow motion, both flow, I go 1, 2. And again, bracing my elbows against my side, and just like Yazzie said, using the hip to throw that punch underneath. All right, don't just shoot the arm out, don't swing the arm. All right, as I make my block, push, fire back with your hips and your shoulders.